Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. What's good? We back. It is Hustle and Heartbeat with
Megan Ewing.
and oh and Kevin Ewing and yeah, we are. Did I already say the name? I already said the name, but we're at Hartford Haven Studio. You see it. We got the greenery. We got the wood. And we got the greenery, we got the water, and yeah, what we talking about, man?
We're talking about people and their seasons.
Okay. I this is interesting because it can really be relevant for almost everything.
Yeah.
I know when you brought it up, I had emotions, and then the more I thought about it, it was kind of like, dang, she might have a point. Like I just started thinking about different relationships that I've had, like even in the past like 10 years. But you know, we getting up in age a little bit. So there's been a bunch of seasons that we've had with people. Was there something specific that sparked the thought, or
I think it's a few things. I had trouble understanding until probably recently that people have seasons. Like if I disconnected from someone or we stopped talking or we just slowly grew apart, it was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? What did they do? Why aren't we friends? They used to come around. It was like 10,000 things going on in my head that I needed an answer to why, when if I would have just known then, like, hey, certain people have seasons, like you can walk away from a friendship and there's no hard feelings, like you can see each other later. It just is kind of like understanding I'm growing at a pace that some people may not be able to keep up with, and I can either stop the growth to help let them keep up and keep them around, or I can grow apart from people. And my thing wasn't, I didn't mind, I was okay with growing apart from people, but it was almost like, well, what caused it? What happened? Like I needed a specific instance where I feel like with you, it's kind of like you can just like, and probably like I'm on one end of the spectrum, you're on the other. Like there's probably like this good middle, and for you, it's just kind of like, oh, cool, I don't have to talk to you tomorrow. Like you can move on pretty quickly. I don't know like the underlying feelings, but like on the outside, it doesn't look like it's a big deal to you.
No, I am I don't know. I first want to say I'm bad at like just, hey, it's done. It's cut off. We ain't talking no more. But that may not be the healthiest way to handle that. I know I've had good friends, I've had coworkers, I've had mentors, that it'll just stop. And I know, like you said, like sometimes it can feel like it's bad blood, and it's not really that. It's just you brought up growing at a different rate. Sometimes you just growing in different directions too.
Yeah.
We're people, so it doesn't always have to be up and down. It can be like someone can be kind of going up into the left or whatever. And so I feel like it can be like that with siblings. Like I'll say it like I'm just not as close with my siblings as I used to be. And sometimes it's life. Like I have children, so I feel like that's top priority. Where I have a couple siblings that don't have children, so their understanding for what it is may be different, and they may not have any hard feelings either. They may even see it like, man, he's got to do his thing, so it's I got to do mine too. And so I know at some point there was like a guilt where it's like, man, I want to be what I once was for whoever it was, and it's just like difficult to be spread thin.
Do you think it's always seasons, or can it be like, I think the problem is like, what's the balance between, okay, that was a season, or I didn't put in enough effort?
What we talking? We talking all relationships, or we talking?
I'm talking like all relationships. Like, where's like finding the balance between, okay, so for instance, we used to throw cookouts often. I loved having company. I'm the caregiving type, so me cooking, serving, making sure everyone has what they need, like in a weird way that's fun to me.
Yeah.
But then it got to a point where it was like, well, dang, like everyone's showing, many people showing empty-handed, and I'm stuck like still in this role. And we were doing, I mean, between the cookouts and then we were hosting Sunday dinners, and then it was all this stuff, and it got to a point where I was like, I like physically, financially, like it wasn't making sense. And so, I mean, COVID happened, so that was part of it. But it was just like things stopped, and then you realize like a lot of the relationships that we had during our cookout season, they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Or they exist in like a way, way, way different way. So where it's like, well, dang, was it they were only coming around for the parties, or was it my lack of effort after, because after and then COVID and everything, like we really started like pushing on
Yeah, that's true.
bigger dreams. So it's like it's a lot that goes into it, where it's kind of, okay, I don't have an answer whether it's seasons or lack of effort. I just knew I physically couldn't put in the effort that I was doing in a lot of those relationships.
I feel like for me, friendship isn't always like top priority for me, because I don't feel like a lot of the friendships are like, they just aren't beneficial or don't align with what the goal is. So if the goal is to make sure our children are financially independent and financially literate, and like even being here, like I don't know if we would have this space if we focused our energy on trying to nurture these relationships.
Is that you're choosing the wrong friend?
Possibly. That's very possible. But those are, at the time, those are like the only friends that I know. So even when you were talking about, you know, having an event and people showing up empty-handed, well, I've also been to events where you have the friend that's like, don't bring anything.
Right.
Like, you're disrespecting me if you bring something. So, I mean, it really could be, you know, the friend or relative. It's, you know, relationship specific maybe. But yeah, I feel like when you're like on a track or a path to hitting something, you know, it's either going to boost you or it's going to pull you away. So, like, I'm looking at the book and I'm like, you didn't write the book with friends. Like, you wrote that in solitude. Like, you were by yourself. I mean, we was in the house, but it wasn't like a lot of times when I'm editing, I'm not with friends. I'm not, you know, so sometimes it's like just whatever your goals are. Like, you're gonna do what whatever you have intentions on knocking out should align with who you're hanging with, right?
So I think a big lesson that I learned was it's like comfortable to keep the people around that you've always had around, because they accept you for where you were. So if your best friends are from high school, they accept you for who you were, for who you are, because of what you were to them in the past. But, and it's not like wrong. I don't want to say like you shouldn't have a mix of friends. Leave your high school friends. Like, they might be striving and pushing towards goals also. So if you can like interlap the two, that's amazing. But I need someone who pushes me. Yeah. So I'm usually the pusher. I'm usually the motivator. I'm usually the get going. And then I realize like, oh, I need somebody like that in my life.
Yeah.
Well, it started like small to where I was kind of connecting with people more local. And then I realized, well, wait, I keep saying I want an international company. I want international clients. I want this. But how am I going to get that if I'm only around people who have goals that are just in our county? My goals are way bigger than our county. And once I learned that and started to respect that I deserve that, things started to happen.
Yeah.
We always give back to our county. We always give back to the school. Like, we're involved. Our studio is in our county, so it's not like, oh, ignore where you're from and push further. It was just I couldn't have the conversations that I needed to have for growth because people didn't want to grow as far as I do. So I had to find people who wanted to grow bigger than I did. And that was like part of me hiring a coach. It was, well, if I want to be a millionaire, why would I get coached from someone that's not a millionaire? So I found a millionaire. And I'd say that to like encourage people where it's like, okay, if I want to have a studio, like find people that have a studio and connect and learn from them, because it's going to like speed up the process. So a lot of mistakes I made, it was more of, oh, I'll just figure it out on my own instead of paying for a coach or finding someone. But it like 10x's the process when you have a good mentor.
You had brought up something, and I didn't want to cut you off, so I didn't respond, and I forgot it. But I will
We should
say,
put like post-it notes.
I know,
And
yeah.
then like,
But no, I mean, you brought up a good point as far as like having friends with, I guess, futuristic type interests. Like, oh, that's what it was. So you brought up the high school friends, and they accept you for who you were and all that kind of stuff. I kind of see it the opposite way, because it seems like people always want to bring up old stuff. Like for me, I'm like, I don't want to be who I once was.
Okay.
I don't want to be who I used to be. And we keep having these conversations of, oh, 20 years ago you did this. 25 years ago you did this. Like, and some of the stuff is fun. Some of the stuff kind of pokes and kind of brings you back down to where you were. And then sometimes it's just like, what was the point? Like, it's very irrelevant. So it's kind of like, and I kind of want to, one, show people that there is a new version of who I am, a better version of who I am, and it's usually someone that's never met you that is more accepting of that person than the person that, oh, you used to do this, you used to act this way, you used to dress this way. But you also brought up like friends that have that future interest. So I like people that travel. I like people that, just have a sense of style and things like that. And so what's funny is there was no way that I could find that without traveling or like having a sense of style. So it was like I felt like I had to change certain things. I just got back from Atlanta maybe I don't know, last week, and I met people that travel because we all travel to be in the same spot. And so now it's like, all right, I'm building relationship with people that actually have the interest that I have. And so I don't know. I think even those people might be seasonal for
right.
what I'm trying to be in the next 3-4 years. And
But I think you enjoy the season. And know, like, if you go in, like, understanding, like, things are a season, how much more will you live in the moment?
Okay.
Yeah, I think I don't know how I came up with it. I drop bars all the time. But my new one,
So,
you look like you were doubting my line. But
did you say it yet?
no, I thought you'd be more excited to hear it. And you were kind of like, oh, here she goes.
No. No, you got it. Go ahead.
So, I want to be a legacy, not a memory. So I don't want to just be like, oh, remember Megan? Like, I want Megan to carry on. And to do that, it takes a lot more work, time, effort, and really, like, vulnerability. Like, I have to be vulnerable with my coach if I want the best results. Like, if I kind of, like, sugarcoat and try to act like something I'm not, I won't get the help that I want and the help that I need and the help that I'm paying for. So that's a big one for me.
Okay. Sound like you saw me when I was on stage last year. When I
You said that?
I just said I want to be here longer than I'm here. Like, I want my presence felt longer than...
So we just said it two different ways.
Yeah, I got...
Dang, you didn't add that to your the recap.
Yeah, I did. I spoke at a college last year. So yeah, I mean, I I've been speaking at schools and all kind of stuff. All right, yeah. But yeah, I want to. I like that line. I want to be here longer than I'm actually here. I want my presence felt. You threw me with that,
Sorry.
cause I.
I'm about to throw you with some melody.
Okay, throw me.
We can change it.
Change what?
Why? So, if we're accepting and comfortable with the fact that everybody has a season,
Yeah.
and accepting of the fact that like times change and like the norms are different now. So the go to high school, go to college, get a good job, retire is like fading away. If you're in a job, you usually job hunt.
I honestly feel like it's always been like the masses preach that mentality, and the people that are like above that typically don't live by standards anyway. Like
So someone just opened the gate and let out a few secrets, and now it's just spreading.
if you like really, I not to like turn from where you were going, but just I feel like a lot of times, I mean, even for like the past like 20 years, it's been like don't work 40 years and then retire and just die right after. Like you should be going the opposite direction of what the masses tell you. So sorry, you can finish. You can finish because I don't. I was gonna try to tie it back, and I wasn't doing a great job.
So we can agree that
Yes.
the norms are changing. So what makes marriage different than other relationships as far as I think the normal thought is go to college, get a good job, get married, have kids, follow this routine and blah blah blah, there's your happy life. What makes marriage not seasonal?
It's just tradition. It's just the societal standards. That just makes it normal.
Is it wrong?
Is it is what wrong? Is the societal norms?
Right. I won't hold your words against you, don't worry.
I don't know if they're wrong. They might be. They might be wrong. They might be wrong. Because it seems like society gets a lot of stuff wrong, and they only keep it up because it's what the people before them taught. But if we're looking at the people before us, they don't always seem that happy.
No, and you don't know. Like now we have a bigger glimpse into people's lives. And it's like harder to hide stuff. Where before, like you were only getting what
Was
you
it,
wanted given.
yeah. I mean, I kind of feel for the kids a lot of times. Well, they have it good and bad. They can actually see what other kids are dealing with during summer break. They can see what other kids are dealing with at other schools. They can tell if they live in a rich neighborhood or they live, in the hood. And so I think even for us, you can look and see like, man, them doing things that have always been taught to everyone don't really seem to happy. I mean, I'm even like that with holidays because I'm like, man, we are about to go hang around people that we don't really like that. And not saying you, like I know your relationship with your family is great, but there's a lot of times where we bring up seasonal depression, and it's like, yeah, you're we're about to go into this season where we hang around people that we don't like, uh, and it I don't know, it doesn't build us up, and we could make the decision to change.
The decision is not to go, or the decision is
It's not necessarily
don't go into it. So, say you go into it instead of, and like if it's like really toxic, like make the decision not to go. But could it be the mindset that you prepare yourself? Like you're preparing yourself to go into like, and I'm about to be around these people. Like, there's going to be people you like there.
Yeah.
If you change the mindset of, hey, this is seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go here.
Just this event. This event right here is seasonal. Okay.
It's a seasonal event.
All right.
You're going to go spend the 3-4 hours and be in that moment without the negativity. And know that when you leave, there's no future obligation. Like, Thanksgiving, okay, you see all these people, it's somebody's upset with someone, like, whatever the dynamics, or it could be absolutely perfect. Can you just be in that moment and just be accepting of the good, the bad, the ugly, with the knowledge of, hey, by 8 o'clock, I'm home and back in my bed.
Or addressing it. Because, you brought up either not going or going.
That's true.
So I thought that was going to be the other option, where you're going to say, hey, instead of going and being uncomfortable and awkward and, would you actually bring up, hey, I would like for this to I want to continue a relationship with you, but I can't continue the relationship with you if things are like this. Now, that's not my style.
I was going to say,
I was going to say, that's not.
How the hell did you come up with that?
That's not. I mean, because I do know that it is an option there. I just opt not to go that direction. But as far as the marriage thing goes, have you thought about us some?
Yeah, I think when, it's like the roller coaster. So I had a thought where it was like, wow, the honeymoon phase of any relationship is the highs, like it all feels high. And even in like our own, where it was just like nothing else mattered. Like, I won't go into details, but anyway.
I don't know what you was.
So the honeymoon phase of like any relationship is like the highest high that there is. But if the end goal is lifetime marriage, we will never get a honeymoon phase again.
You still going?
No, you can chime in.
I heard you say that once before, and since I don't know, I guess I knew we were gonna be having a conversation. I was like, I don't want to go more into it, but I do feel like we still have so much that we're working on that maybe once some of it is knocked out, we can approach that again. So I feel like, okay, we get together, there's a child, there's no children, that are there's children that have come from our relationship.
Yeah, we've there's always been a child in the relationship.
Yeah. So
we've never not had.
Right. So we don't know what it would be like without the responsibility of feed 3 people 3 times a day, make sure they're this, make sure
Is that a good or a bad thing?
So we're together so often. I feel like it is a good thing that we've been able to still be happy majority of the time around each other with those responsibilities. I feel like if we could just get up and take a day trip, we've never had the freedom really to just, and whether that be financially, whether it be family responsibilities or whatever, I don't feel like we've been able to just have our ideal relationship. We've just made it work. Now, I felt like that was going to spark a thought in your head. That's funny that you smile, right? Because I was like,
oh shit, you about to ask me something I ain't ready to answer.
But I'm just like, man, the circumstances that we've worked in for the past 14 years has not even been maybe what could be the greatest segment of our relationship. That's why I was just like, man, when we do this or when we get here, we may be able to have that. But You look like you have a contrary.
Oh, I think it holds some aspect of excuses. I think. I think at the end of the day, it's an effort thing.
Okay.
Like it's easy. It's in like the beginning, in the honeymoon phase, like all you want to do, and both sides like is put the effort in, is show you care, is little things here and there. It's um, you find ways to do it because the end goal is the long term relationship.
Okay.
So until you know that relationship is secured, you'll put that effort in. But then once it's secured, then it's like, all right, well, we can focus on this, 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 and this, and this, and then we'll just come back to this later. So it's like, I think it can go both ways to where, one, marriage has its seasons, to where it's like understanding, like, it's not like, oh, you should cheat every 6 months to bring it back. Like, like the seasons within each other.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could just be like, why some people, I mean, look at Nick Cannon. He doesn't have to pick and choose. His relationships are seasons, and it may work as far as like, I don't know the background of anyone he's with or has been with, but maybe they're needed in that like part of time. Like maybe there's one woman that's like, okay, a new season Wild 'N Out is being taped. He needs this person in his ear behind him.
Okay.
But then when it's taped and it's just airing, it might be a season for someone else. So I think it's like multiple ways to look at it. It's kind of like I finally got to the point where I'm okay with like friends coming and going in seasons, and then it was like, well, wait a second, what makes any relationship or marriage different, and is the traditional thought wrong?
That is that it should be seasonal.
Yeah, that we're not
I mean, what
meant to
about,
stay with the same
and this
person for
may
like.
be further off topic, but just marriage in general, like you believe people should marry.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think I think there's so much like attention put on, oh, get engaged and show off your ring and it better be the best ring. Like the pressure that goes on guys for the proposal and making sure you have the right ring and making sure it's done right. And that then it's like, okay, the lead up to the wedding, which is usually like the bride's thing. Well, let me show off and spend money, a lot of brides that you don't have, or the conflicts of who makes it to the guest list and who doesn't, and what dances are you doing and what's the entry, and um, all for it to like, it like plummets after, because it's
Okay.
like, okay, you're in a relationship, he better propose, he better propose, he better propose, he better propose. You put all this energy in like waiting for the proposal, you get it, you're on this high, and it's like, oh great, and then like wedding planning takes you down a little bit because it's stressful, and then the wedding comes and you're back on this high, and then what?
What do you have to look forward to?
In a relationship, not like parents, yeah, having your kids come is a success, having like that's a high, but in the relationship, like that's it. Where's your next high? There isn't a high scheduled.
I mean, I am the type to tell a lot of, I mean, even the couples that I shot, like, you guys don't have to worry about the day when you have so many more days after. Like, there's people always talk about the wedding, but don't talk about marriage. So I don't know. I still feel like we got some season left. um, I
Can
mean,
you make a new season?
I'm working on it. I feel like I'm working on it. The body that I'm working on is not for anyone else except me and you. I mean, the the money that I intend to make is not for anyone else except me, you, and the kids we have. Um, so in my head, I'm like, yeah, I can either. I mean, I guess depending on if you're even happy in the season that you're in, But either continuing it or making a vow to create a new one. Ooh, bless you.
Thank you.
Let that out.
It came out.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Ah, shoot. That body I'm working on. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's definitely communication. I think a lot of relationships lack the communication. They just they kind of go off their own interpretation of things.
I mean, stuff's more available now. Like, if we're in a fight,
Yeah.
I can go on social media, say how mean and rude and I can't stand you.
Mm-hmm.
And I like 99.9% sure there's some people that will be right in my inbox.
You got it like that?
I'm saying like for you too. Like there are people who thrive on people's vulnerability. So they're like, okay, he done messed up. She gonna want some kind of rebound. All I gotta do is hear this and like, and it's not to say like anyone's wrong. It's not to say like I have people in mind. It's just people like drama. So there's gonna be people who are gonna reach out and be like, oh my gosh, what did he do? Da, da, da. There's gonna be people who reach out and they're like, man, if you wanna just get a drink, get your mind off things, let me know. Well, all of those options sound pretty good when you're upset.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean your intentions.
I was gonna say
are
I
wrong.
don't think I've ever had that, so I'm always naive to that. But what?
You just don't realize when it happens.
I'm never looking for that. So
I think it's like a gift and a curse. So I'm never looking for anything. So I get lost in like I'm like pure business mode. So I don't turn off like in my mind there's like no switch of anything that would go on outside of my marriage, so it's like pure business.
okay.
So a lot of times like you don't see other people's intentions
Yeah.
when they're ill because for you it's business. It's
Right.
you know, it's a step for the growth that you're trying to accomplish is why they're in your life or whatever other reasons. But it's kind of like I had to like sit back and realize after certain instances where it was like, oh, just because I respect my marriage and just because I'm in full business mode doesn't mean other people have that same intention. So there's been seasons and people got cut off. But
Okay. This is an interesting conversation. I feel like it can be had amongst a lot of different people. It doesn't have to be married couples. It can be father daughter. It can be cousins. While it can be an awkward conversation for married couples, I do appreciate you, bringing it up. Like, man, I don't know if we always gonna be married. But
I don't know that I said that.
you didn't say that. You didn't say that. But I mean, that's the thought that comes to mind when you're like, hey, we might be in the third quarter of our season, and but but I think it's cool that you can approach it like, hey, we may not always grow the same direction, and we should be able to be cool with what we've accomplished together, what we've the happy times, I guess. Because you think of like music groups, or you think about like just
everything
basketball teams and things like that, and then there's like this recap or documentary of like, well, this happened, and they hate each other, but then they end up apologizing or whatever, and it's like, dang.
But do you need an apology? Like sometimes you don't realize
it doesn't have to get bad. Like
Right.
they apologize because it gets bad,
or it may not have even got bad. Society might have made it bad.
Okay.
Like, and I think like, and maybe this is what started. So like working with Lennox Lewis, he's like one of his like very, very, very good friends is Mike Tyson.
Right.
Well, like everyone knows how that went. At his camp, this week or last week, he had Hasim Rockman there.
Right. Yeah.
Who knocked him out.
Yeah.
And he's like there's like no ill will, there's no, and I'm kind of like, for me, you knocked me out. Like, that's going to be hard to get over.
But you gotta, I mean, when it's athletes, I very rarely look at it from a personal standpoint unless it's like outside of the realm of the competition.
So I've never been an athlete, so I'm kind of like,
yeah, like,
oh, if I hate you this game, I have to hate you forever.
No, so there's like people that I competed against 20 years ago that I've taken pictures of their children, where it's like, man, what's up,
if someone
man?
if Justice had an issue in 9th grade with someone from a team, I still got beef with them.
Yeah,
I'm carrying the beef.
So for like, you know, the Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, for the Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, like, I just feel like, man, we came together and made this money. Like, yeah, I had to do this. I had to train. We had to talk trash to sell the fight. But I don't really think there was like any like ill will or disrespect outside of the realm of what the business was.
I don't know about that one.
Okay.
Well, sorry, I would carry it. If you bit my ear off, I'm gonna have an issue.
Now they're selling Holy Bites. I mean, they're selling ear gummies. Like, they're making money. Like, you have,
but money fixes it?
I don't necessarily think money fixes it, but goals fix it. And if money is the goal,
and if they're all working towards bigger goals,
yeah, like, you know, you never know what situation either, you know, fighter or whoever athlete is in, and it's like, hey, we're going to put that behind us. Like, there's an opportunity here if we can see eye to eye, and so maybe, you know, that season of.
And I'm also big on. It doesn't sound like it with the ear biting and stuff. I've never been knocked out, so I guess I can't speak on that. But I think, like, forgiving is, like, important. And I think people, like, mistake forgiving people like you're doing them a favor. You're doing yourself a favor. Because the weight of, like, forgiving someone, like, you'll, like, physically feel it. I've gone through steps where it's just, like, there's been toxic relationships that I had to let go. Usually I believe they should end on a conversation so you can see kind of where you're at. And the weight that's... Like, you want to make sure, like, it's not... I don't just walk away from people like you. I need that last conversation to know I'm making a good choice. So, but usually, like, the weight is, like, lifted and you just feel better. So I think forgiving for yourself is important. And that'll allow you move on. That will allow you to move on more from the seasons of just, hey, we had a dope ass time.
I'm trying not to hold grudges like I used to, man. It really isn't worth holding on. It's like, what are...
That's why your shoulder is so built. You should let some of that weight go.
What does continuing to be mad at someone that doesn't even feel it, you know, help you? Like, yeah, I mean, I know people say I can forgive, I won't forget, and all kind of stuff like that. But it's like, really, what is keeping, like, when something is taking up so much of your brain energy, it blocks from what else you could be doing with it. So,
and you don't have to forget. You change how you behave around them. Like, there's definitely people that, for one reason or another, like, are still somewhat in my life that I knew our season was over. So now I carry them differently. And it may not be as personable. It may not be... You know, I have to protect my... When someone shows you something, like, the best thing you can do is learn from it and protect yourself. So I forgive. So I like that I forgive but don't forget. Because if I go away one weekend and you cheat, and then the next weekend I go away and you cheat, and then the next one... Like... It would be silly for me, like, I can see, like, you can see patterns.
Like, forget, like, don't forget.
Right.
But
so if it's my choice, like,
so
I'm
it's
okay
forgiving?
My actions have to change. So I might forgive you and leave, but I'm not carrying that on. I just chose, my action was to leave.
All right.
Because I used to hold grudges. And when I held a grudge, it was rough. Like, emotionally, it was just, like, a lot.
I think a lot of people do, though. I think a lot of people don't read. A lot of people don't, like, try to improve themselves. Like, once they're done getting a grade or whatever, like, I don't think they see the need to improve. So I feel like for you and me, I feel like you might have got to a point where it's like, oh, this is pointless. Like, what am I doing? Or no, that didn't.
I think some people are good at following direction. And some people don't like following directions. So the people who are good at following directions, if you're told high school, college, get a good job is success, well, you've achieved success. So what more do you have to do? So in their mind,
okay,
they achieve success. So anything that's going wrong is not their fault. It's the world's fault. It's society's fault. It's this person's fault. It's your parents' fault.
Okay.
For me, it's kind of like we're almost like paving our own way. So since no one's here, since this way that we're paving hasn't been done yet, we have to learn how to do it. And if you're willing to learn how to do it, you succeed. But our success isn't a destination, it's a journey. So where someone's trying to check off the boxes and say, okay, success, pop the confetti. Like we'll never reach success.
Okay.
Because there's no finish line for us.
And that's why you grew out of holding grudges. I mean, that was the point I was trying to make.
Because I couldn't keep growing if I'm carrying the weight. I mean, it's like adding like ankle weights. Like, oh, let me carry this grudge. Oh, let me carry this grudge. Eventually you get tired.
All right. Well, I think this is an interesting conversation that people could join in, drop some comments, tag somebody, share. And I think we went more the relationship rather than business.
Here. It was a nice mix of hustle and heartbeat.
Yeah. It felt like more heartbeat than hustle, but yeah, I think this was a productive episode for us and anybody that is a fan or supporter. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. You got anything else to say? You want to plug anything?
What do I want to plug?
Coaching.
If you're in the Harford County, Maryland area, the Productivity Playbook workshops are monthly, held at Harvard Haven Studio. Kevin has creative meetups.
I got some creative meetups coming up, man. I'm trying to build culture. I'm trying to build community. This entrepreneurship journey can be lonely. The creative journey can be lonely. I want people to step into this spot and feel like they have people that they can bounce ideas off of. They have a place that supports, being artistic and being creative. And so, what we doing it once a month?
Yep.
Monthly, yeah. So yeah, come in, share your ideas, act on your ideas. I think that's a lot. I think that's the big thing. One thing that I heard recently is that nothing is a good idea until it's acted on and actually made good. Everything is an idea. Like this podcast wasn't an idea. Now it's a good idea that we're acting on it, and different things are being produced from it. So
one last thing.
Sure.
Someone asked, I think on Instagram or something, our layout, our setup. So 1, you can rent the space at Harford Haven Studio. 2, feel free to drop down to the description. Everything you see around us, every tool that we're using, there will be a link in the description box. And you can buy and build the exact set that I built right now. We don't gatekeep around sure.
Fire. All right, man. Peace out. Thank you.